Crowd on their feet. They have rarely sat down all day and into the night here in Seattle to pitch. Swing and a fly ball in center field. Yabana's there, and he will make the catch. And the Houston Astros in 18 epic innings win it 1-0. They sweep their way back to the ALCS for the 6th consecutive time.
Stros at 4 right here on the Wheelhouse. The final call courtesy of ESPN Radio. Dave O'Brien capturing the moment. The Astros advancing to their 6th straight ALCS after an 18-inning, 1-0. Can we say thriller with 1 run scored? Thriller, depending on who you ask. Win in Seattle.
Did he say 18 effing innings during that call? Did I hear that right? What did he say, AC?
He said, what? I don't.
He said epic innings.
Epic,
not effing.
Okay.
Easy mistake. I understand.
It's 18 effing innings for me. It was a chore to watch that game.
Oh, but I was on the edge of my seat basically the entire from the 9th inning on.
I was pretty much sunk into my couch from like the 4th inning on, not expecting anything to happen. And then the Pena home run got me out of my seat. I don't mean to go preacher mode here, but I am now fully in favor of the Manfred man in the regular season, the ghost runner on second base.
No.
You can get away with stuff like that in the playoffs. In the regular season, my goodness. But, hey, the Astros won. The game could have taken forever as long as the Astros won. When your team loses a game like that, it hurts extra bad because you're like, damn, I just gave up 6.5 hours to watch my team lose. This freaking sucks. I could have been out here doing something else with my life. But when your team wins the way the Astros won, it makes all of it worth it.
There was a chance that the Yankee-Guardian game could have ended before the Astro-Mariner game.
Yeah, it started
3.5 hours before.
Oh.
Just crazy. One of the longest baseball games I've ever seen, maybe we all will ever see.
Well, it felt a lot like 2005.
Yeah.
And the only difference was you knew if you were able to push one across, you still had to go play defense and pitch in the bottom of the inning.
Yeah, at least you had 13 combined runs in that game.
Sure,
This one had 1.
Sure,
you at least had some action in that one.
But I will say, look, I'm in favor of an every now and then in sports, okay? You know what's awesome on college football Saturdays? What Alabama and Tennessee did. 40-something to 40-something. That's awesome. I like that. Every now and then, we want to have a 6-9 game of the century. LSU, Alabama from a few years ago. Okay, I'm fine with that. Runs are more fun. But every now and then, you want to have an 18-inning, pitcher's doing a great job, hitter's doing a horrible job. I'm okay with that. And, man, it felt like there was a good mix of pitchers doing a great job and hitters doing a bad job.
At that point, get to 19. At that point, set the record, right? Because there have been other games make it to 18 innings. If you're going to be that boring for that long, at least set a record. Come on.
It
now.
was boring, too, right? It's not like there were that many chances for really either side. And even, like, Pena's moment was 1 swing, 1-0, and then that was it. Like, the bottom of the 18th inning had almost no drama.
You're right. But once again, when your team wins, it's awesome. And look, give the pitching staff credit. Obviously, this was incredible by both staffs, but especially the Astros staff for getting it done. It was an all-hands-on-deck type of game for both of these teams, and everybody Dusty Baker called out of the bullpen got the job done. I mean, this was the best pitched game in Astros history, fellas. I don't think there's any way around it. They got 2 games worth of outs in one. They didn't give up a run in a rabid stadium on the road against a desperate team, right? The Mariners had their backs against the wall. They had to win that game to keep their season alive. The crowd was going nuts. First home postseason game in more than 2 decades. Nobody scored for them. Only one Mariner reached third base in 18 innings of work. That was the best pitch collectively, right? Obviously, we've seen better individual performances from certain guys over the great history of this franchise, but collectively, that was, without question to me, the best pitched game in Astros history.
I wondered, too, once we got to the bullpens of both these teams, if maybe we'd see a little bit of offense, maybe we'd see some runs, maybe we'd see some guys get on base and things like that, because Lance McCullers and the way that he went out there and pitched, and I mean, tons of credit to 2 first names, George Kirby, because that guy was awesome for the Mariners. And so I thought maybe we get to the bullpens, especially because the Astros had some success against the Mariners relief pitchers. And it just felt like maybe the Mariners could get something going at their joint against the bullpen. But what Lance did and what George Kirby did, the bullpens were able to replicate for a bunch more innings after that.
And then you had Luis Garcia throwing 5 scoreless innings. He basically had another start in and of itself.
He had the 3rd best start in this game.
It's just unreal. He pitched better than Game 1 starter Justin Verlander. He pitched better than Game 2 starter Framber Valdez. Lance was the only one who had a better start in this series than Luis Garcia, and obviously his start came out of the bullpen.
Well, and Lance only went one more inning. Luis Garcia didn't walk anybody. Lance had 2 walks. You could argue, they do this thing called game score. If that was a start, Luis Garcia's game score might be as high as Lance McCullers' game score because he didn't allow any walks.
Even higher. Do we call this a 4-game sweep, gentlemen?
Yeah, it's a 3.5 game sweep for me. 3.5 game sweep.
You played 18 innings. You played the equivalent of 2 full baseball games.
Yeah, I'm calling it a 4-game sweep.
There you go.
Roger Clemens was on with John and Lance earlier today, as he will be throughout the Astros playoff run, and he was asked about Luis Garcia, and this is what Clemens had to say.
What a luxury to have 2 starting pitchers back into your bullpen sitting out there for a game just like this. And it couldn't have worked out any better. I mean, the way he was throwing, you're right, he could have 7, 8 innings if he needed to. And, I mean, it's a huge luxury to have. People were talking, I heard a couple guys say that, Altuve's cold as can be, and, Verlander has an off night, and the guys still win.
And his last point there is spot on. I mean, Jose Altuve didn't have a hit in any of these 3 games. Certainly had plenty of at-bats to get said hit. Verlander got rocked in Game 1, and you still won all 3 of these games. So 2 of your more important players, your best pitcher, your best playoff hitter, they didn't do anything in this series. Verlander, in fact, prohibited you from potentially winning this Game 1 and being down 0-1, and you still won. Just shows you how deep and talented and how special this Astros team is.
And BK, if it had gone to 19, if it had gone to 20 or so on and so forth, eventually Luis Garcia wasn't going to continue. Well, then you go to Jose Urquidy.
Yeah.
I believe Robbie Ray was the last guy that the Mariners had.
He was warming up in the bullpen.
That was it.
I was getting really excited.
That was it.
Didn't need him.
Robbie Ray was the last guy that they had to turn to.
You could argue the game plan was, can we just survive until Robbie Ray gets in this game? And then the game's over.
Man, there was some good performances there from – and look, if you're a Mariners fan, you probably haven't heard of all these Astros pitchers. So to see these guys go out there, I mean, Hunter Brown's probably a fairly new thing to you. I know you saw him a couple games ago. I'd never heard of some of these Mariners guys. We could have played Mariner, dead guy, and I might have guessed dead guy for some of these. Who is Festa? I'd never heard of Festa. And then I texted Andrew during the game. I was like, about to feast on Festa. That was not the case. 2 innings of solid work from him.
Yeah. Isn't that the holiday they invented in Seinfeld?
Festivus.
Oh, Festivus. That's not named after Matthew Festa?
Matthew Festa.
Yeah, we got to see everybody on both sides in this one. And, hey, those interviews with Rocket are great, by the way. The Astros have 3 starters out of the pen that they could turn to, right? Because Hunter Brown's one of those guys, too, with Garcia and Urquidy. Like, nobody has that. And I've said this for months, and I think you guys have agreed with me. I don't know if this is the best Astros team in franchise history, but for me, without question, and I've been saying this for a long time, this is the deepest Astros team in history. They might not have the star power they had in 2019, but they are so deep, both in terms of the pitching staff and in terms of the lineup, and that depth was on full display. Jake, I'm glad you brought those points up. Yeah, Justin Verlander was awful in his one appearance in this series. Jose Altuve was awful all series long, and you have enough guys, both in the pitching staff and off the bench, and then your rest of your lineup to come through and be a really good team in 3 games. No, by the way, I'm going to give Jose Altuve some credit. Doing something that not a lot of people have done today. A lot of people dunking on Altuve a little bit for going 0 for 16 in those 3 games. That's what you want from your team leader. He's a selfless guy. Because he's had a million moments of his own in the postseason. He wanted the other guys to have a chance. That's the type of guy Jose Altuve is. That's the type of leader that makes him the heart and soul of this Astros ball club. So Jose Altuve wanted the other guys to have their fun because he's like that. Now he's going to take over and become the Jose Altuve we all know and love.
Roger Clemens was asked about Jose Altuve this morning on the bench, and this is what I was about to say Hall of Famer. He's not in the Hall of Fame. This is what an Astros legend had to say about Jose Altuve.
Everything's just a little bit on the outer part of the strike zone, and he's hacking at it. And, of course, everybody with the high strike being called, when you feature that ball just 1 or 2 baseballs out of the strike zone in the top part of the strike zone, guys are going to hack at it. I mean, it just looks so hittable. And when a ball's elevated like that, if you can just get your barrel on a piece of the ball and backspin it, it's going to go a long way. So, I think that series over now. He can wipe the slate clean and be ready to go here on Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, who they're playing.
You hope so. You're not winning a World Series if Altuve's doing that.
He won't do that.
He's too good of a hitter to not produce at some point.
Yeah, I also spent a uncomfortable amount of money believing he wasn't going to do exactly what he did on Saturday, and he had multiple opportunities to just get. All I needed was 2 total bases, Jose Altuve. Just 2 total bases, Jose Altuve.
You got 8
Just
at bats.
2 singles would have done it for me. Okay, 1 double. All right, 1 double, Jose Altuve. That'd have been fantastic. But no, a big fat offer. Jose Altuve.
I guarantee you, if they play the Yankees, he's going to have several huge hits. He kills them every time.
He
so
does.
I would not worry at all about Jose Altuve. He's like the lowest of low on my list of like potential concerns, if any concerns about this team.
Well, if you're telling me the Astros are this good and they haven't even got the contributions from Jose Altuve and Justin Verlander, go ahead and start planning the parade route.
What's crazy, though, is just what's happened around the Astros during these playoffs. So it's like you feel great about the Astros' chances. If they got of any of these teams, they're clearly the best team left. Out of all the teams left, they've won more games in the regular season than any of these 2 teams or any of these teams that are remaining. But, man, how crazy is it that you see the Dodgers, who won 111 games, the Braves, who were the defending champs, who had, I believe, the best record in baseball since the month of June, they both go down. The Yankees are in a do-or-die game tonight. It's crazy, and it's a testament to the Astros because while all these division winners and teams that had the bye are either out or struggling to get by, here are the Astros who found a way to go out there and win their series in 3 and get ready for the LCS.
Such a shame that the Dodgers are out. Such a shame that the Braves are out. Man, I feel so bad for them. I couldn't sleep last night thinking about how sad I am that those 2 teams are no longer in the playoffs. It's crushing.
The Dodgers, see, their manager in May said they were going to win it all. That didn't happen. They had a opinion in the LA Times that said of any year they should just cancel baseball because the team is clearly so much better than everyone else and award a champion. It's this year, and it's the Dodgers. And then the Padres take care of business.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes to show you, though, like, playoffs could be the ultimate crapshoot at times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Dodgers didn't even get to a 5th game. Neither did the Braves. They lost in 4. It's not like they lost a do-or-die game where, anything can happen. They lost in 4 games. Wow.
A huge thank you to you for watching my video. This is Jake Asman here. If you're a Houston sports fan, subscribe to my channel and then listen to our radio show, The Wheelhouse, every single weekday on ESPN Houston from 3 to 7 p.m. It's on ESPN 97.5 FM and 92.5 FM. Thanks for being a listener.